10 billion naira short-dated treasuries were traded with an auction also on the market for the first full business and markets day of the new year. Let's start checking with FMDQ exchange place. Samuel Musa of FSDH Merchant Bank is joining us from there. Samuel, it's good to see you. Good morning. Hope you had a nice holiday.
Yes, I did. Hope you did too.
Well, I was here all through. I thought you saw me. Well, maybe you were so busy having some nice time, but I was here all through. But again, let's get into business. What's the result of yesterday's auction?
Okay, so at the Treasury bills auction yesterday, the CBN offered a total of 74.8 billion across three maturities. The 10 billion was offered on that, 91 days. 182 days, about 20 billion was offered on that, and then the balance was offered on the one-year paper. And then the stop rates were pretty much the same as the last auction that held on the 28th of November 2018, with the 91 days closing at about 10.9%, the 182 days at 13.1%, and then the 1 year increased marginally by 5 basis points to 14.5%.
Okay, so that's good. How does that look to you starting the new year, of course, at that level, elevated level of a yield curve?
Okay, it basically just speaks to investors' expectation for the rest of the year, at least for the first half of the year. With the upcoming general elections, political risk still remain. So we think that, well, according to what investors are doing, right, we think that yields would increase marginally across the yield curve, especially on the short end of the yield curve. And then we've seen particular interest around the short end because of this seeming uncertainty.
Yes, so at about 15.5 at the current level, what's the outlook from FSDH? How much more toppings, as it were, would investors be looking for between now and the end of the elections, sometime February, for the presidential election and other elections towards the end of February and early week of March?
Okay, so yields are 15.5. That would be bonds. That would be the mid-tenor bonds, to be precise, bonds maturing between 2027 and 2028. And then you would recall that just before the end of the trading year last year, we saw some buying interest and yields dropped to about 15.3 levels. Now, opening the markets yesterday, the start of the new year, we saw a bit of reversal, you know, in all of in yields, and this just basically shows investors' view as to what would happen. Yields trended as high as 15.64% yesterday, and possibly it might get to 15.7% levels today. We already have an OMO auction by the CBN, and this could act as a trigger to push yields a bit further.
Yeah, you're expecting, we're looking at open market operations today, then we look at the payment of mature treasuries. Is it likely that all the cash being, or treasuries being matured, will be cash taken off the market by the central bank?
I doubt we would have that situation. We would typically have had a maturity of 159 billion coming into the market today, but there was a primary market auction yesterday, and you know, with that debit going to hit the system, we have a net of about 84 billion in the system, and then with the OMO auction, again, that we have for today, a total of 450 billion has been offered. We also have FX refund. But I think the OMO auction would take much of this liquidity out of the system, so we wouldn't see much of the effect in the treasury bills and the bonds market today.
Okay. Thank you so much, Samuel Musa of FSDH Merchant Bank, live to us from the FMDQ exchange place in downtown Lagos. See you some other day. That's bringing us up to speed on our debt market report. One story that still we talk about is where is the Lagos State 2019 budget. There are reports online that the sitting governor, the incumbent governor, Akumi Andebode, actually sent a letter to the State House of Assembly on December the 28th, outlining the proposed budget of 852.317 billion naira for the current fiscal year. Of course, the House of Assembly is in recess, and we expect those numbers to come true. So there has not been a formal presentation, but we got reports that the governor actually sent a letter attaching all necessary documents, the budget. The headline figure is 852 billion naira. All that will be part of the conversation next week with the LCCI talking about getting all the governorship candidates together in one room and asking them critical questions from the private sector point of view for the country's #1 economic hub. We'll come back after the break. We'll go back downtown to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent, live to us from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, who's called the home of capitalism. That's what every stock exchange is called around the world. You want to find out why a stock exchange is called the home of capitalism? Because that is where you exchange shares for cash, where your cash has been used in business to return profit. You make profit, and sometimes you make losses. Makes you smile, sometimes makes you cry. Temple. So that yesterday, the stock market made investors cry. About 145 billion naira wiped off the, taking off the equities capitalization for the first trading day of the year. So that was unhappy. Give me a happy Thursday, Temple. Shout it. Let me hear it, you. Let me hear you. Let's hear you.
Well, you've been hearing from different quarters anyway, since the year opened, with the very first guest you had on the show, this same Business Morning on the 1st of January, talking about the year and that investors, traders, everyone basically should brace up for tough times ahead in 2019. So what we're saying, the slow start we're saying to the new year speaks to this particular projection, and that just tells you that, look, the highest you can do right now is to buy at the time that the prices are really low, so that post-election time then you can sell. But basically right now the trading day hasn't really changed in terms of our performance and activities in the market. Level is still really marginal in terms of the state of the index. We're seeing activity level at 13 million units. Value is about 84 million naira in the market. We've seen for the first time in a long time, about 2 weeks now, first time we're seeing the Diamond Bank going down. It has dropped in some in value from 2 naira 13 kobo to about 2 naira 11 kobo now. We've seen some kind of 3.5 million units of its shares traded this morning. Access Bank, some 6.2 million units of its shares traded as well. So it tells you that the psyche of a lot of traders, of a lot of investors, generally market players, is changing at this point in time. The moment you see some good profit, take it before you lose it, bosun, so you don't cry, as you earlier said.
Yes, this is called take the dollar off the floor. That's the phrase on Wall Street. For example, let me break it down, Temple. If you think a dollar is such a very small amount of money, if you just put a dollar at every bus stop in Lagos, for example, you know how many thousands of bus stops you have, and you just put a dollar on the floor and you just go pick $1, each of this dollar off the floor. You know how much thousands of dollars you make every day. That's what you say. So you say the stock market is, if you have a 2 kobo or 5 kobo gain, take it, put it in my inside pocket, then say thank you, because the politicians are still the one making the headlines until the after elections. Sometimes I just don't seem to like the politicians. They seem to wreck the markets and things like that. Not just here, it's just like that everywhere in the world, isn't it?
That's the whole sense right now. That's basically what we're seeing generally all over the world, from the US to the emerging markets. That's the sentiment. I mean, the whole idea about investments is gradually changing. We're not too sure of a safe haven no more. Because if you look at the entire markets last year, globally, stocks, commodities, everything really went down. It speaks to the issues of portfolio rebalancing globally.
Now, Temple seems to be upset. Okay, let's just wrap it up with that.
No longer that
even gold is a bit episode. Let's get up tomorrow, Temple. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone. Take the conversation from here. I'll see you again.